Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to be talking about the rumored Sony a7 IV and if you should wait for it or if you should just buy another camera right now. And if you guys learned something from this video or you just enjoyed it, be sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button. Alright, so now let's get into the actual Sony a7 IV, which I'm actually pretty excited about, to be honest. And let's talk about the release date and some of the specs that it might have. And as of right now, there's actually no confirmed information about the Sony a7 IV. We don't even know if it's going to be called that. We don't know if it exists. And Sony hasn't mentioned anything about it, so everything that I'm talking about in this video is just based off of leaks and rumors. And I'll leave the sources like right here or the links. And pretty much just take everything in this video with a grain of salt since we don't know if it's true or not. So as of right now, some of the specs about the rumored Sony a7 IV include a new 30 megapixel sensor, a 4K 60 recording system with 10-bit, and also a body that resembles the brand new Sony a7 III with the flip screen. And for the release date of the camera, right now the leaks and the rumors are saying that it's supposed to be a third quarter of 2021, which would mean that it's probably coming out in the next few months. And again, these are pretty much just leaks and rumors, so make sure to not take everything so seriously from these specs since they might not all be true. But personally, I think that most of them would be true since it would be a pretty good upgrade from the Sony a7 III. And if they didn't really do all this stuff, then it wouldn't really make sense to even upgrade the camera. But personally, I also think that the Sony a7 IV isn't going to have the 4K 60 and 10-bit recording system, since that would fall into the territory of the Sony a7S III. And now speaking of the Sony a7 III, we could quickly compare it to the Sony a7C, which actually just recently came out. And these are two cameras that a lot of people think about upgrading to from their crop sensor cameras. And for a pretty long time, I was actually thinking about upgrading my Sony a6400 to the Sony a7 III, but I wasn't actually too sure about it since I knew that the Sony a7 IV would probably come out in 2021, and that's pretty much the reason why I'm making this video right now. The Sony a7 III is pretty much one of the best hybrid cameras right now that's full frame, since it does photo and video both really well. And when compared to the Sony a7C, there's actually not too many differences besides a smaller form factor on the a7C, and that camera also has a flip screen, which is really helpful for anyone who's a YouTuber and doing vlogs, or just somebody who's ending up filming themselves. And both the Sony a7 III and the a7C are fantastic cameras, especially for the price, which is only $1,700 to $1,800. And most YouTubers or anybody else who's into photography or videography would probably say to get the a7C over the 3, but personally in my opinion, I would actually go the other way around and suggest the a7 III. And I say this because the Sony a7C has a much smaller form factor when compared to the Sony a7 III. And this is pretty much because the Sony a7C is a much smaller camera with smaller ergonomics, and this might not be too bad for everybody since a lot of people do want to have a smaller camera that's portable, but if you are shooting for clients, the Sony a7C has like pretty much the same form factor as a crop sensor Sony camera, like the Sony a6000 line. But when you compare this camera to the Sony a7 III, the Sony a7 III has a much bigger and a more ergonomic form factor to it, which makes other people think that you're more of a professional photographer. And even with my Sony a6400, which does take really nice photos and videos, which are honestly pretty close to full frame camera capabilities, a lot of people think that it's not as professional, especially some other clients that I've had, or even friends, or just really anybody. They don't really take you as professional as you could be if you did have a bigger camera. Even though this really shouldn't be too much of a problem, it actually does happen more than you'd think, and the only way to really solve this would be to get a bigger camera, since people outside of photography or videography, they don't really know too much besides that a bigger camera is probably more expensive, and that means that it's higher quality. But if you are someone who's just doing photography or videography as a hobby or just for your family rather than as a business or to make money, I would definitely recommend the Sony a7C over the Sony a7 III. And this because the Sony a7C has a much smaller form factor to it, which makes it more portable and more fun and easy to use rather than the Sony a7 III. Okay, so now to get to the point of this video, let's talk about a situation where you shouldn't wait for the Sony a7 IV and you should just buy another camera right now. If you're someone just getting into photography or videography, I would first recommend that you start off with a crop sensor camera like the Sony a6100, which in my opinion is probably one of the best crop sensor cameras you can buy right now. This way you have to invest a lot less into your camera system and the lenses, since full frame lenses are a lot more expensive than crop sensor ones, and this way you could also just learn all you can about photography and videography before making that final upgrade to a full frame camera. And later down the line, if you do decide to use your crop sensor camera to actually make some money now, you could definitely do that and kind of make up the money that you spent for the camera itself, since the camera does have pretty good capabilities that actually look really professional when compared to a full frame camera. And another reason why you should just buy a camera right now instead of waiting for the Sony a7 IV would be that if you're getting a lot more client work right now and you kind of need a more professional setup, I would definitely recommend to just buy what you can right now, like the Sony a7C or the 3, instead of just waiting for the Sony a7 IV. And since Sony hasn't actually officially said anything about the Sony a7 IV, we first of all don't even know if it's a real thing or even if it's in production or anything like that. So instead of waiting for the indefinite future to buy a new camera, just buy what you can right now and see how far you could go with that. And now for the reasons why you should just wait for the Sony a7 IV to come out to buy that, would be that if you have a camera right now and you're just getting by with what you have. And a lot of the times people think that they actually need a new camera, myself included, think that we actually need a new camera to get more professional results, but honestly it's all about the person using it, and it matters about how good you could get with the camera that you have right now. So it's pretty much important to just keep improving with what you have, make sure that your photography skills are getting better with composition and everything, and your editing game is getting better, and that's pretty much all it is. And you don't actually have to upgrade from your crop sensor camera to a full frame to get the results that you want. But in my situation right now, I have the Sony a6400. I've had it for the past 2 years now, but I really think that I've reached my limitation with how far I could get in terms of quality and performance with this camera, so that's pretty much why I want to upgrade to the next full frame camera. And if you're in a situation where you think you need to upgrade your camera right now, I hope this video has helped you make your decision a little bit easier. And if you guys enjoyed this video or found it helpful, be sure to go down below and hit that like and subscribe button. And anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.